The Grumman F8F Bearcat remains one of the most remarkable piston-engine fighters ever built, yet history often remembers it as the aircraft that arrived just after its war had ended. Conceived in the closing years of World War II, the Bearcat was designed to surpass the legendary F6F Hellcat in every aspect: speed, climb rate, and agility. However, by the time it reached operational readiness, the war in the Pacific was already drawing to a close. The aircraft's debut came too late for it to influence the outcome of any major battle. Still, the Bearcat's existence represents a fascinating what-if moment in aviation history. What if this remarkable fighter had entered combat in 1944, when the skies over the Pacific were still fiercely contested? How might it have reshaped the balance between the U.S. Navy and the Imperial Japanese forces? The answers lie not only in its advanced design, but also in the timing of its arrival. By early 1943, the U.S. Navy had already achieved air superiority in much of the Pacific thanks to the Grumman F6F Hellcat. Yet Grumman's engineers were not content. Under the leadership of Leroy Grumman and Chief Engineer William Schwendler, the company envisioned an even lighter, faster fighter, something that could outperform both American and Japanese designs. Drawing on combat reports from Hellcat pilots, the team prioritized rate of climb, acceleration, and roll rate over range and payload. The result was an aircraft that combined raw power with nimble handling. To achieve this, the design team drastically reduced size and weight, while retaining the massive Pratt & Whitney R2008-100 double Wasp engine. The goal was clear: create the ultimate carrier-based interceptor. Work began in 1943, but every refinement took time. The war moved faster than production could keep up, setting the stage for a great machine to miss its moment. The Bearcat was built around one idea: put the biggest possible engine into the smallest practical airframe. The F8F's designers took inspiration from European lightweight fighters like the Spitfire and Bf-109, but optimized for carrier operations. The aircraft's bubble canopy provided outstanding visibility. Its wings folded neatly for storage aboard aircraft carriers, and its landing gear was strengthened for the brutal stresses of deck landings. With a top speed exceeding 450 miles per hour and an astonishing climb rate of over 500 feet per minute, it was one of the fastest climbing piston aircraft in history. Every ounce of excess weight was removed, and even the fuselage was trimmed to achieve perfect aerodynamic balance. The result was a purebred interceptor, fast, responsive, and deadly. In many ways, it represented the pinnacle of piston-engine design, an evolutionary endpoint just before the jet age began. Although the F8F was designed to replace the Hellcat, its predecessor cast a long and formidable shadow. The F6F Hellcat had already proven itself as the U.S. Navy's premier fighter, achieving a 19-to-1 kill ratio in the Pacific and dominating Japanese Zeros in nearly every encounter. By 1944, Navy pilots trusted the Hellcat implicitly. Replacing such a proven platform during wartime carried risks. Training, maintenance, and carrier logistics were all tailored to the Hellcat's design. Introducing the Bearcat meant retraining pilots, modifying carriers, and adjusting production lines. Grumman faced a dilemma: how to push forward innovation without disrupting the war effort. Consequently, even though the Bearcat promised superior performance, it wasn't prioritized for immediate deployment. By the time its potential was fully realized, the war's end was in sight, and the opportunity to prove itself in combat had slipped away. Prototype testing began in August 1944, and the results were extraordinary. Test pilots described the Bearcat as a rocket with wings, praising its rapid acceleration and unmatched responsiveness. The aircraft could climb almost any contemporary piston-engine fighter and was agile enough to perform high-G maneuvers without losing control. Grumman engineers continued to refine the design, tweaking its balance and control surfaces to make it ideal for carrier pilots. However, these refinements consumed precious months. Production ramped up slowly as Grumman balanced commitments to existing Hellcat contracts. The Bearcat was ready for action by mid-1945, but with Japan's surrender in August, its combat debut never happened. It had been tested to perfection, just in time for peace. When the F8F Bearcat finally reached frontline squadrons, it entered a world no longer at war. The aircraft was first delivered to the U.S. Navy in May 1945, but no operational missions were flown before Japan's capitulation. For many pilots, this was bittersweet. They had in their hands one of the most advanced fighters ever built, yet there were no battles left to fight. The Bearcat became a training and demonstration aircraft rather than a combat legend. In an ironic twist, it was often compared to the jet aircraft that would soon replace it. Despite being outpaced by emerging jet technology, the Bearcat's performance remained so strong that it could hold its own in climb and acceleration against early jets like the P-80 Shooting Star. The Bearcat symbolized a turning point, where piston technology reached its zenith, just as it became obsolete. Had the Bearcat arrived a year earlier, the impact on the Pacific Air War could have been substantial. In 1944, Japan still fielded the nimble A6M0 and the powerful N1K Shiden fighters, both formidable at lower altitudes. The Bearcat's climb rate and superior firepower would have made it a nightmare opponent for Japanese pilots. Its 450 caliber Browning machine guns and blistering speed would allow it to dictate the terms of every engagement. American carrier groups could have achieved air dominance more rapidly, reducing losses in operations like the Battle of the Philippine Sea or the invasions of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. While the Hellcat already ensured victory was likely, the Bearcat could have shortened the air campaign and saved lives. Its unmatched agility in dogfights would have rewritten the tactics of late-war naval aviation. In pure performance, the F8F outclassed nearly every piston-engine fighter of its era. It could reach 455 mph at altitude and climb to 10,000 feet in just over 2 minutes. Its roll rate, over 200 degrees per second, was the envy of test pilots. These capabilities made it ideal for interception missions, particularly against kamikaze attacks, which were becoming increasingly deadly by late 1944. The Bearcat's ability to climb quickly and strike hard could have drastically improved fleet defense. Pilots could launch from carriers and intercept incoming attackers minutes sooner than Hellcats could manage. Every advantage counted in the desperate final months of the Pacific campaign, and the Bearcat's speed and precision might have changed the outcome of several naval encounters. Yet fate intervened. The war ended before it could prove its worth in battle. Even as the Bearcat neared perfection, the world of aviation was shifting beneath it. Jet propulsion had emerged as the next revolution in air combat. Aircraft such as the German Me-2, 162, and British Gloster Meteor demonstrated the future of aerial warfare, where piston engines could no longer compete. For all its brilliance, the Bearcat represented the end of an era. Its performance rivaled early jets in climb and maneuverability, but it could not match their sustained speed at altitude. The U.S. Navy, already exploring jet aircraft like the F-8 Phantom and F-J Fury, saw the Bearcat as a transitional fighter. It filled a gap between World War II technology and the jet-powered future, serving as a bridge between two worlds. Its late arrival thus symbolized both triumph and redundancy, a masterpiece out of time. Although the F-8F never saw combat during World War II, it did serve with distinction afterward. It became the backbone of several Navy and Marine Corps squadrons during the late 1940s. Many pilots praised its handling, calling it the finest flying propeller fighter ever built. The Bearcat also found success overseas, serving with the French and Thai air forces during the early years of the Cold War. French Bearcats flew in Indochina, engaging in ground attack missions against insurgent forces. Though designed for air superiority, it proved rugged and reliable in the harsh tropical environment. In this way, the Bearcat finally earned some measure of combat experience, just not in the war it was built for. Technically, the F8F represented a peak in piston engine design. Its combination of lightweight, aerodynamic efficiency, and raw power influenced future aircraft development, The lessons learned from the Bearcat's construction helped Grumman engineers transition into the jet age. The company's later designs, including the F9F Panther and the F11F Tiger, borrowed structural and aerodynamic innovations from the Bearcat's blueprint. Moreover, the aircraft's emphasis on pilot visibility, ease of maintenance, and carrier compatibility set new standards for naval aviation. Even decades later, the Bearcat's influence can be traced in the design philosophies of modern carrier fighters. Though it missed its wartime chance, the Bearcat found a second life in civilian hands. In post-war America, surplus F8Fs became prized among air racers. Their exceptional speed and agility made them dominant competitors at events like the Reno Air Races. Modified Bearcats, stripped of military weight and fitted with enhanced engines, achieved record-breaking speeds, some exceeding 500 miles per hour. Pilots and audiences alike were captivated by its graceful lines and thunderous power. In this new role, the Bearcat became not a weapon of war, but a symbol of human achievement in engineering. Its legend grew not from combat, but from performance and beauty. Many aviation historians often compare the Bearcat with the Vought F4U Corsair, another American naval powerhouse. The Corsair had greater range and payload, making it ideal for long missions and ground attack roles. The Bearcat, however, excelled in raw performance and pilot handling. If both had served concurrently in 1944, the Bearcat would likely have been the fleet's point defense fighter, while the Corsair handled extended strikes. This complementary balance could have made the U.S. Navy even more formidable. Both represented different philosophies of air combat, one favoring versatility, the other pure speed. Together, they embodied the pinnacle of piston-powered innovation before jets took over. The F8F Bearcat stands as a symbol of transition, the final flourish of propeller-driven excellence before the dawn of the jet age. Its story encapsulates a broader truth about technology. Innovation often arrives just as the world moves on. The Bearcat was a masterpiece of its time, yet its time was already passing. Its late arrival reminds us that even the most brilliant designs can be overtaken by history. For the pilots who flew it, the Bearcat represented unmatched performance, a perfect fusion of power and grace. But in the grand timeline of aviation, it became an echo of what might have been. 1944's missing fighter is more than a hypothetical. It's a lesson in timing, innovation, and historical momentum. Had the Bearcat been ready just 1 year earlier, it might have dominated the skies over the Pacific and earned a place among the legends of World War II. Instead, it became a monument to the limits of progress, a brilliant machine that arrived too late to fight. Yet its legacy endures in every aircraft that followed. The F8F Bearcat reminds us that greatness is not always measured by victories in battle, but by the vision and craftsmanship that made such victories possible. It was, in every sense, the last and greatest roar of the piston-engine age.